This is the High Desert Lutherie podcast with Jonny Java from Bulletslide.
Another big thing for me was mimicking the sound of the human voice. I love listening to singers and people who do melismas, and they have this thing where with the human voice, you can sing precisely up and down scale tones with melismas, but then they have all that range where there's no delineation between notes and they can slide into things. So I thought, what's the best way to kind of have a more vocal quality on the instrument?
Hey, this is Perry from Unga Guitars, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the High Desert Lutherie podcast. Today, my guest is Jonny Java of Bulletslide. I didn't hear about Bulletslide until I was looking for vendors for the upcoming HDLI, and I came across the Bulletslide Instagram, and Jonny is a beast of a guitar player. And he is also very, very well spoken about the Bulletslide. I really appreciated the polish. He has a very professional approach, like he's been selling this Bulletslide his whole life. I can tell he's got a great passion for it. And, he throws out some players. We both throw out some players that I start thinking of the possibilities. And it's a really cool product. I'm super excited to have him involved with the next HDLI in June. And I hope you enjoy my short interview with Jonny Java from Bulletslide. All right, welcome to another episode of the High Desert Lutherie podcast. I'm Perry from Unga Guitars and the creator of the High Desert Lutherie Invitational, or HDLI for short. The HDLI is a small trade show that will happen twice a year, June and December, and is a celebration of luthiers, luthier-adjacent creators, musicians, and the art that comes from combining all these things. The HDLI supports the music community by providing free booths to the vendors and free admission to the public. All of the participating vendors and musicians are curated by me to create a cohesive, organized event. The HDLI encourages community and collaboration amongst the artists. This podcast is one way to help us all get to know one another. To learn more about the show and the artists, please visit the website, highdesertlutherie.com, as well as our YouTube channel to hear more of our podcasts. And that channel is High Desert Lutherie Podcast. Joining me today is Jonny Java from Bulletslide. Let's get this show on the road. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Awesome. Well, my name is Jonny Java, and I am the creator of the Bulletslide fingertip guitar slide. Kind of bring that a little closer for you. You want to take a look. But it's a, guitar slide that fits over your fingertip. Pretty much simple as that. And you can turn around when you don't want to use it and just play normally.
Awesome. What was the inspiration behind that creation?
Well, it's funny. I started playing guitar when I was about 6 years old. And the first time I heard about Guitar Slide was probably 2 years into my playing. And I was at Sam Ash. And I saw a guitar slide and I asked them, this little 10-year-old, like maybe 8-year-old, 10-year-old kid, say, hey, do you have one for your fingertip? And they said, no, we don't carry that. And then for years I found that nobody made it. And then 2012, after college and, working on cruise ships for a while, I went to go check and see if anyone's made it. So still never happened. And I had some ideas for some designs on it, and I had a glass blower making one. This was done from Malu Byrne, David Byrne's daughter from the Talking Heads. I just found her randomly blowing glass in a studio in New York City, and wasn't even looking. And she blew me that, and I really liked how it felt. So I got with a patent attorney by a really weird, fun series of just serendipity, and he talked me through the patent process, and we got the design patented, and from there, just kind of started working with new materials, different kinds of materials, until I found the ones I really liked. But that's kind of the gist of it, I guess. Years of trial and error since 2012 until settling on something I really liked.
What sort of a trial and error did you go through in developing the slide?
Sure. I think the biggest two were materials and keeping the design as ergonomic as possible. And it was really just listening to manufacturers and friends and just getting their input. And also, I did little test runs here and there on eBay, on Reverb. Whenever I came out with a new model or a new prototype, I would put it out and then ask for people's feedback. And these were getting sent everywhere, from like Turkey to India to New Zealand to different parts in the States, Italy, and everybody gave me really, really great feedback. And I think part of making a great product is not only how it feels for you as a player, but for other people, and what the common consensus is between them. And they didn't have much to say in terms of negative feedback. However, I knew some small things that as a player, because I would want, and I mean, I've been playing for years professionally, and I use this now on most gigs that I play, especially when I have to go from slide to guitar. And to answer your original question, yeah, I guess it's been a process for sure, and materials have been the most eye-opening and challenging, because certain ones are heavier than others, yet certain ones sound better than others at the same time. And I really did settle on brass for our first launch, and I just love how it feels. And for me, it's an issue of being able to have something that rings really well across all of the strings, because certain materials were great up on the higher registers, but kind of died as you go down. Things like glass, things like ceramic. I love the sound of ceramic, but like I said, when you go down to those lower wound strings, you lose some sustain, some tone down there. But brass just kind of eats everything. It's great. So that was the biggest one, I think. Also, costs in terms of materials and how to get it done too. I thought that machining would have been the best way to go about making these guitar slides, and then turns out investment casting is probably the best way to do it, because you just get a mold, 6 different sizes, and you just pump them right out, and it's the same way every time. And I have my first big shipment coming in, and maybe a few months from now, around May, June time. So looking forward to that. I hope that answers your question with that. But,
oh, definitely. It sure does. And I find that that brass, it really accentuates the sweet spot in our hearing, especially where guitar comes through, right in that mid-range.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It cuts right through.
Yeah, it just has that quality to bring all of the stronger frequencies that we're gonna hear, that we go, oh, that's yummy. It just pushes all of that forward so strongly, because guitar's already gonna push those frequencies out on its own. It says like, hey, let me make this easier for you. And
Yeah.
so I'm not surprised that you ended up choosing brass. Can you describe what need this fills for you? Because it is not like your typical slide, your bottleneck slide, or something that's taking the place of your whole finger. It's not a bar. Can
Yeah.
you describe how you use it and
Sure.
its advantages?
Absolutely. So I end up using it for a lot of situations where I'm playing a song live that requires me to go back and forth from playing slide to playing rhythm. So I play guitar for the Army Band out here in San Antonio, and we have tons of different styles happening. But when we play a country rock tune, sometimes I'll have to fret chords and then go back and forth. So I just would spin it around to be able to do that sort of thing. So if I want to play lead lines, it's really great for that. But I can cover 3 and sometimes 4 strings at the same time with it. So if I'm in drop D tuning, I can get that really raunchy type sound, covering all the strings. If I want to even do some more bottleneck type stuff on a resonator as well too, I can pick some stuff in the bottom while sliding up. So for me, it fulfills the need of having to go back and forth on call. What I really love about it is all of the creative exploration I can do with it. So there's some things you can do with only a slide, some things you can do with only your finger pads. And combining the two leaves room for all of these different techniques. So for me, I was hearing, let's say someone like Steve Vai, where you hear all these, crazy, super cool whammy bar techniques and stuff. I loved being able to not use a whammy bar, so it won't knock my guitar out of tune. And if I want to really just kind of slide like wider intervals. I can go, from, like maybe an A all the way up to an E if I want to, and in one swoop. Another big thing for me was mimicking the sound of the human voice. I love listening to singers and people who do melismas, and they have this thing where with the human voice, you can sing precisely up and down scale tones with melismas, but then they have all that range where there's no delineation between notes and they can slide into things. So I thought, what's the best way to kind of have a more vocal quality on the instrument, playing, let's say, lead or even riffs? And it was to have the best of both worlds. There's a baseball player named Yogi Berra used to say, when you see a fork in the road, take it, right? I used to love when he'd say that when I have both. And for me, that was a way of having both. Also studio work too. When I want a really unique sound for a guitar solo, I'll choose that. And more I find myself using these for solos for people, because I can tap, I can shred, I can just play longer things, I can do strange sonic textures with it. And I'm always coming up with new techniques on the slide. So for me, it definitely fulfills a utility purpose, but also a creative purpose as well.
How fun. Have you messed around with having multiple slides on different fingers?
I sure have, yeah. What I really like doing is putting one on my pinky, because these come in 6 sizes, by the way, just to fit all different types of fingers. We found those are all the most common. But there's a guy named Ron Paul Bumblefoot who uses a thimble on his right hand when he plays. And what's cool is you can kind of do both sorts of things. If you want to slide into something while tapping on the right hand here, you have access to all these notes now with your right hand if you really want to. And so yeah, I've done the 2-hand type stuff. I haven't done much of 2 on 1 hand. You need to double your brain or split your brain into 2 in order to kind of keep those pitches together. So it's like trying to sing with 2 voices, if you think about it. Because intonation is key when you're playing slide, and you want to, of course, hit right above the fret rather than before it like you normally would. So having to keep track of that is definitely a challenge, but I'm really looking forward to seeing people do that sort of thing, because I'm sure a lot of other people are going to try that, and I can't wait to see what kind of videos come out and what people can do, and just take the ball and run with it. And when they start, playing with these things, and looking forward to it. One more thing I like about the slide is I like a low action on my guitar, and I've never liked having to bring it up just to compensate for slide. This guitar is very low action. Most of my guitars have low action, and I'm able to play on slide on these guitars, even with the low action, and not have to alter it. And that's pretty key for me too. I can fret with these, just playing scales and really dig into the notes without having to worry about fretting it out. So that's a big draw for me as well too.
Well, what a great description, because you just answered a bunch of my questions, and what a very creative tool. I start thinking of all these different players. It would be neat to see Michelangelo, this dude.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It'd be neat to hear him mess with that, and as well as a player like Stanley Jordan, who's doing this.
Oh yeah, I actually went to high school with his daughter.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I saw him play one of the first times that he went into this spiritual retreat for a while. And
right.
I saw him at a NAMM show, and I was standing 10 feet from him at the foot of the stage watching him play, and his daughter was singing.
Yeah, that's wild.
And no one was everyone was just walking by, and it was me and another guy, and we were standing on the side of the stage by his guitar case,
right,
and just with our mouths open. And I just parked next to him because it's the best seat in the house, right? And I'm not blocking the stage or anything, watching this thing happen. And I'm going, holy shit, that's Stanley Jordan. And he goes, that's what I'm saying, bro, and nobody's stopping. What is going on here? And no one expected it to happen. And we watched the rest of his set. He came over, put his guitar in the case, says, hey guys, how you doing? And thanks for watching, and just walks off. And we're just sitting there ah. But the way he plays is a mystery, and it would be interesting to see what he would do with your product.
I would love to see that too, especially, and he plays, from what I've seen, very low action too on his instrument. For something like that, I probably wouldn't use brass. talking about other materials that we've experimented with, I got with a slide company called Slide. They make really, really great magnesium guitar slides, and I found them kind of by accident. I was trying to get one of my slides to Johnny Highlands, the country player, just phenomenal beast of a player, sweet human being. And he said, "Oh, I'd love to try your slide, but I'm kind of with this company called Slide. I don't want to step on their toes." And I'm like, "Who's Slide?" So I ordered one of their slides, talked to Tom Carter, the owner, and him and his family own this company. And I said, "I love your slides. Like, what would you think about working together on something magnesium for a fingertip slide?" And he was all about it. I ended up actually representing them at a few trade shows, just playing their slides. And we became friends. And he made me these little guys, which is something I would probably give to Stanley Jordan. They're maybe 3 times as light as the brass, and more for kind of shred type stuff, I would say. You know, you still get a lot of good tone on the low end, not as well as brass would, but in terms of how fast you can fly on these things, it's absolutely insane. And someone like Stanley Jordan with action that low, I think it would just be absolutely perfect for. And we definitely love to see that. So yeah, if anyone's listening out there, bug Slide to start making these in bulk. I've been talking to them lately about it. But we've had a cool process on putting these together as well too.
Oh, that's great, man. It's so wild sometimes how you make the connections that you do, right? I mean, I can think of a handful of experiences that, sort of changed my path. I was just talking to a pickup maker that's going to be at the show in June.
Oh, cool.
Just having my mind blown. It was like all of the crazy ideas I've had over the past like 10 years that I haven't like had the time to make happen. He was just getting all of that psychic drift.
Really?
and that's like every pickup recipe he's got are those crazy ideas. And I was like, "Oh my God."
Rick Ruben, his book that he just put out, he talks about this in the first chapter. Like, an idea comes out when it's ready, whether you're going to be the one to bring it into the world or not, is the question, because if you don't, somebody else is going to. It's time for it to come out.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking earlier that I should craft some questions for you, and then I realized, well, I'm not a slide player, and I don't know what that would be. And then you did such a good job talking about the product. Are there any artists right now? Like, I mean, we just talked about Stanley Jordan, but are there any other artists that like you would love to work with, or just have them try your product and be able to experience it?
Yeah, I would love to see Joe Bonamassa play with it, just because of how much he flies, and how ferocious and quick his playing is. I think it would be really, really cool to see him mess around with it. Philip Sace also I'd love to see. Someone like John Five would be really cool to see because he's such a creative player. Ron Thal Bumblefoot, he plays fretless, but I'd love to see what he would do. Dave Fuzinski is a very experimental player as well. John Mayer, I'd love to see mess with it too, very much so. And let me think about who else. But any of the other slide cats too. I hope it wouldn't offend them if it's such a. And I'm not trying to replace a guitar slide either. It's simply just another creative tool. I still use bottleneck slides as well too when I need to, and it's just another option for different types of sounds, I find. And I was thinking about doing a few videos actually with one slide talking to the other one. You know what I mean? Being friends with each other. Because I feel like a lot of people have thought that I'm trying to replace it, and I would never want to do that. But back to your question, yeah, really anybody. I mean, I would love to hear country players mess with it. Brad Paisley, some of the studio cats like Brent Mason and Johnny Highland. And also some jazz players. I have a few videos playing like an arch top jazz box too, like just a somewhat hollow body. And I love getting those kind of Buddy Emmons type sounds like you're doing on pedal steel. I'd love to hear some pedal steel players play with it too. But I keep experimenting with all different types of genres, and would love to hear some jazz players do a little something with it too, and just to kind of show what they can do. But yeah, in terms of artists, yeah, I'm always looking. I'd love to hear Mark Lettieri, the Snarky Puppy Cat play on a little bit. Corey Wong would be really fun to hear jam on them. Charlie Hunter, even But yeah, I mean, I'm open to. Oh, Greg Howe would be cool to see what he would do.
Bunch of my favorite players, Joe B being one of them. And you're right, he's so ferocious. And, now with all of these years under his belt, he's so tasteful.
Yeah,
It would be wild to see his approach to that, especially hearing him, play bottleneck slide. Like, what would you do with that? You mentioned Philip Sace. Like, I bet you he would be able to interpret a lot of those Jeff Healey licks,
sure.
even better than he does now. And he already does a tremendous job.
Yeah.
His time with Jeff really comes through in his playing. And
Yes, absolutely.
right. And I, all those crazy stretches that Jeff was doing, like I could see your slide making that even easier.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, I start thinking, after hearing them play for so many years, like, oh, I can almost imagine this. How do we make this happen? How can we facilitate this through the HDLI? I'll have to work on that. I've been sending invites out to as many players as I can just to try and get on their radar. The event's new. This will be the second show, and I really appreciate you being willing to take a chance and be one of the vendors. We have people come from all over the place, and even the locals, like I can't thank them enough, for giving
Mm.
us a chance to build our show. And because it goes both ways, we rely on our vendors to be able to have a show.
Yeah.
And so when the vendors turn around and say, "Hey, thanks for doing this," it goes both ways, thanks for doing this too. Like it really makes it possible, and you just add to the variety. I'm already going like, wow. I was hoping for other things, but what I ended up with is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Especially in finding the Bulletslide, like it's something I was totally not aware of. And I started thinking like, oh, this might be kind of cool to try out. Like I've
Mhm.
never been able to play slide. And, you talked about the vocal qualities of slide. And I think my biggest exposure to it, and the first thing that comes to mind is David Gilmour.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And that
Mhm.
vocal quality, that's what got me wanting to try a slide. And it was just like all I heard was noise. But this was me.
Right, right. That's what I like about it. It's something for me. I found people find it more accessible because you don't have to change much at all. You're literally fretting it the same way you would with your fingertips. Or you can turn it over like a bottleneck if you want to hit more. 3 or 4 strings at the same time. But yeah, for me, I wanted something that was going to scare people out of playing slide guitar too. And it's a lot easier to hit a note precisely when you can see the tip of your finger than the way you normally would, not have to change your playing as much. I find it more accessible for players who are afraid to play slide, but also something I didn't even think of until I met people at a trade show. People who have hard times with their fingers, whether it's conditions, medical conditions or arthritis, having to straighten their fingers out sometimes is kind of tough. But when they're able to keep it bent, they were saying they were able to actually play slide a bit more. And that's one of the best things I've heard about it that I didn't even know about or think of. And if I can provide something like that to people who wouldn't normally be able to play slide, that's just even better, I think.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I've actually been hearing that a lot from a few of my regulars and some friends. Like, oh man, arthritis is really kicking my ass. I haven't been able to play as much. That's really exciting to hear.
Mm.
And they'll all be at the show, and I'll be telling them, you need to go over there. And I don't
Mm.
want to hear them complaining anymore. Like,
Right.
I got a couple solutions for you now, and one of them happens to be another tool to help you play your guitar. The other
Mhm.
one comes down to health and wellness and stuff
For
like that.
sure.
And yeah, and to kind of mention that, we're going to have some friends of ours from the Restore Hyper Wellness, and they do like cryo. It's like a IV bar.
Mm.
Um, and what else do they? They have like red light therapy, and all these things are great for arthritis and
Oh, that's awesome.
things that ail you. That I hear a lot of players and also luthiers. I hear them bringing up their concerns about like hand pain, joint pain, that
Yep.
sort of thing. And so my girlfriend and I have been going to this place for, I don't know, 6 months or so, maybe. And I've noticed tremendous improvement in all of that stuff, a lot less joint pain at the end of the day. And so we invited him to be a part of the show.
That's awesome. Great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, just expose people to something totally different, because unless you're into that sort of thing, when are you ever going to learn about it?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with this product here that you've got, the Bulletslide. So the name seems sort of obvious to me, but you want to talk about like how you came up with the name?
Sure. For a while, it was under a different name, and because I couldn't think of anything else. My nickname was always Java, and we just called it a Java slide. So first, that sounded a little bit narcissistic and pretentious, so I just decided to kind of go away from that. But I'm also in the Army bands. We still go to basic training. We still practice shooting, and I remember thinking about it one time when I was picking up shells of ammo after we hadn't went to the range. And I thought, oh, Bulletslide would be kind of a cool name, because it's kind of shows how fast it is. It's brass, sounds quick, and it almost kind of looks like an old cartoon bullet, if you think about it. So, so we recently incorporated into Bulletslide LLC, and just kind of like the name. It's just kind of easy to remember, and have a fun little animation with like a little bullet shot sound and everything. So I think that's the thing right there. So kind of settle on that right now, and to super dig it.
How long did it take you to develop this Bulletslide, and how long has it been available?
I started around 2012, I want to say, was when I really kind of got down and started experimenting with it. About since then, yeah, since 2012, was that about 12 years now, something like that, almost, give or take, and 11, 12 years. And what was the other question you had about it?
So has it been available that whole time?
It has not. It's only been available for small runs of like just testing. So I'd say maybe about 3 years ago it was available, because we were experimenting with handmade ceramic and also some of our first brass models too. And I would just kind of go to a CNC shop for that. So the brass models maybe about 2 years, and ceramic a little bit earlier than that, maybe 3 years ago. And there were very limited runs, maybe 200 or 300 units. Just put them up to see how quickly they sold. And when we did those too, the design was a bit different. It was a lot less ergonomic. So everything was very simple. And then now, it's a lot more contoured, where, when you bend your finger, sort of the little bevel on the inside will kind of allow it to kind of rest inside your finger, and then make it easier for when you flip it around. And so ease of motion was a big thing in terms of that. And playing with it enough, I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I really want the bottom to kind of be a bit more semicircular. That way I can bend my finger easier. But yeah, so that's about the span of time it's been going.
Wow. And so your first like big order is coming through to you and will be available to the world like literally right around the time of the show in June.
Yep.
That's perfect timing. I really enjoy how you were able to share the evolution of the Bulletslide, because I know just from experience in the industry how easily people will poo-poo this, right? All the excuses they'll make for, oh, like you were saying, he's going to try and replace, what I'm comfortable with. And
Yeah.
how dare he do that? And how dare he be coming up with a different tool? Yet, it's probably going to be that thing where you just showed the evolution of it. And I'm going, oh man, that's going to work. This is somebody who clearly put thought into this product, who plays. I've been following you on Instagram as I'm trying to follow and keep up to date with everyone that's a part of the show. And, I'll just tell everyone right now, Johnny's a hell of a player. I look forward to hearing you, play at the show. To have somebody that knows what they're doing using something, it's like, oh, this is something that it can do. Seeing where this goes now that it's going to be available to a larger audience soon is also very exciting. What would you like to have accomplished in the next 2 years, and where would you like to be after that?
Sure. So just kind of having a more streamlined process of getting the product to consumers, something a bit more hands off. I've loved being the middle person, in terms of getting a shipment, looking at it all, and then sending it off to people. It was been really great to connect with people personally, but it might be harder. My job, playing the Army Band, I may be in Belgium in a year and a half from now, or Germany, somewhere overseas, playing for a different group, and it'll be a lot harder for me to move products. So I'm really, really looking for a way to be a lot more hands off in terms of having that packaging and everything fulfilled and shipments to people, and making sure the system's easy for them to kind of measure their finger so they're getting the right size for the first time, because there is 6 sizes. And I've heard different methods on spinning like some measuring tape around your finger is one way of doing it, but wondering if there is a way to have something on the phone where you can just literally put your hand up to it and it will just kind of show you. That way it's quick and then easy, then let me order that one. And, if it's like kind of to scale, maybe even just 2 lines. But yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, I kind of really just want to have it accessible for people to where they can just order it and it's fulfilled quickly. And I don't have to, be touching it, because I won't be able to pretty soon.
Right. Very true. What a great idea. And having the phone, everybody's got the phone running as the computer these days. So why not? Like, my eyes got really big when you said that. Like, very forward thinking. I feel like you did a wonderful job filling in the story. I love that. A lot of the participants in the show in the HDLI are sort of new to like the trade show side of things. Some of them are brand new builders, and I've been interviewing a bunch of them. And for some of them, it's their first time interviewing, so there's like a little bit of nerves. And I just really appreciate how easy this was for you to get the information out, and it's probably from working a few NAMM shows and all that stuff, I would imagine. You haven't?
I've done one show in Colorado one time, which is awesome.
Wow.
But no, I haven't really done any trade shows. This would be my second one.
Okay.
Yeah, but I really just love talking about them. I think if you love something, you believe in it, you're passionate about it, it's always going to be very easy to speak about it. My main thing is sharing it with the world. It's something I always wanted as a kid. I was just the person to bring it to life, and I would love to see how other people use it. It just excites me to really just bring it out there. And
wow. What a great attitude. And like, you just come off so seasoned talking about it, like so practiced. And I'll just let you know, I really appreciate it. You want to go ahead and plug your socials and anywhere we can hear and find Bulletslide and you?
Sure. So the main 2 platforms we're posting on right now are Instagram and TikTok. So all you need to do is look for the words Bulletslide as one word put together, and you'll find us on TikTok and you'll find us on Instagram. Little by little, we're posting things on YouTube, and we're going to be having some more demo videos up there. But same thing, we have a YouTube channel that's Bulletslide, and be on the lookout for our Facebook page too. We're going to have that there just in case people are viewing Facebook more. But yeah, so for right now, I would say the Instagram probably has the most content. And, you'll see more on TikTok coming up soon. Those are our preferred sources, but, YouTube is also there as well.
They are also on the website along with the Bulletslide profile. And so we've realized that the website's turned into somewhat of a directory, because we kind of have where everyone, where they let us know they were operating out of. And as well as like we have it broken up into what we're calling luthier adjacent, which would be where you are. Not necessarily making instruments, but making tools.
Cool.
And so like I just realized this from another one of the vendors, and he was like, dude, this is so cool, man. I was going to ask you if you had anything like this. And now we know where everyone's coming from, we know what they're doing, we know where to find them, and all the links work. And so anyways, thank you for your time, Jonny. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you. I look forward to having you at the show, and I wish you the most success with the Bulletslide.
Appreciate it. Love everything you're doing, and I love how this is shaping out, and I cannot wait to meet the other vendors, as well as meeting you as well, and hearing people playing their instruments, their pedals, their products, whatever they've got. It's it's going to be a great vibe, it seems like. And yeah, just really, really happy to be part of it. And thank you so much for, getting us on board.
Of course. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me for another episode of the High Desert Lutherie podcast. Thank you to Jonny Java for sharing everything about his journey in developing the Bulletslide. Once again, I wish Jonny the most success. This product is so unique. It's another tool. Like, it's not replacing anything. I just appreciate that he put that out there. It really lines up with the values of the High Desert Lutherie Invitational, the High Desert Lutherie movement. Everything that I'm pushing is coming from a place of love and appreciation. Thank you so much, Jonny. I really appreciated spending some time to get to know you, get to learn about your product. So June 2nd will be the next High Desert Lutherie Invitational. Come out if you're in Albuquerque, come out, or just come to Albuquerque to check out the Bulletslide along with all of the other vendors. We'll be there Sunday, June 2nd at Rio Bravo Brewing. Once again, I am Perry from Unga Guitars, also known as Unga. And you can catch us at our website to learn more about the event, highdesertlutherie.com, as well as listen to more episodes of the podcast on our YouTube channel, High Desert Lutherie Podcast. Please hit all of the good buttons, like, subscribe. You can also find us on Instagram at High Desert Lutherie, and please do follow us. And you're welcome to make comments, leave notes, send messages with any questions or nice things to say. I always appreciate that. But I will catch you in the next one.